Good morning, everybody. And I'm a little bit, terrorized because I know you're very specialist, and I'm not. I'm coming from the movie business, and I just want to introduce, what VR for Good exists now for 4 years. We produced a movie of a French astronaut, maybe you know Thomas Pesquet, was 6 years ago, and we've been by the ESA, because we did before a documentary for Arte with a German astronaut, and they asked us if we wanted, to do something with this French guy. And at the time, he was totally unknown, and now he's very well known in France. And we decided, to do a documentary of 90 minutes, which have been put, in screens. But at the time, we said that maybe, 360 could work with space, and it was easy 6 years ago, which is not the case now, to be, finance, to produce, 360. So we did 15 minutes. He's training in Baikonur, where unfortunately we can't go anymore. And 15 minutes, we gave him, a 360 camera, and we asked Thomas, could you take, some pictures, and we will do, a cut, and we did another 15 minutes in the space. So when we released, the movie in France, what we did, with these 15 minutes, not really, just maybe for the avant-premiere, but that's it. And one of my very old friends said, it was summertime, 5 years ago, that, unfortunately, he had, four girls, and one of the girls was 15 years old, and she had a stroke. So she's been put at the hospital. She's been put in the coma for 3 weeks. And just to let you know, she's very fine now, and she has a great job. So she's 20 years old. But he asked me in August, could you please, see her because in vacation? I said, of course. So I went to the hospital, which was called Sainte-Anne Hospital. And every day I come, with cartoons, with ice cream, cartoons. And one day I said, should maybe I bring, the helmet, the headset with the 360, because she's in this, room, which is very sad, and she's painful. So I came, and of course, as she has a stroke, I was a little bit that she did something, with the brain. So I said, I put, the headset, but if you have anything, you just, you take it out. So okay. So she put the headset, and after 3 or 4 minutes, she had a big smile. She did, the minutes. And when I put it out, it was the trainee. She said, have you another one? I said, yes, I have 15 minutes of space, but space, brain, I'm not sure. She said, no, do it. I do it. And again, 15 minutes. So she did, 30 minutes of VR. I would say 360, because I will tell you after, about the 360. And when I get out, she just, with a little voice, can you come back tomorrow with the thing? I said, okay. So anyway, I came, for maybe the last, the next 10 days. And maybe after the 8 days, I crossed, a doctor. And he said, what are you giving to her? I said, no, nothing. I just say, the headset. But anyway, so that's the introduction of VR for Good. And so I met, because it's a small world, of the VR producers. And I said there is really something to do, in the well-being, in the stress, and of course, as I'm not a specialist, I need, to have, scientists with me and to do, a study. So we produced and we distribute some programs which we consider like positive and 360. I'm not, unfortunately, in the virtual reality, because what we decide coming from the movie business, I wanted, and I don't want to be pretentious, but we wanted to have really premium, exceptional, images. And of course, if you want later, I have an helmet, and you can try, what we did, on space, and for instance, for the nature. So we have nature, meditation, and culture. And in the nature, we have, of course, the space, but we had, an agreement, with Jane Goodall, which unfortunately died, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now ago. She was 91 years old. She's the English woman who was with the monkeys, in Africa. And she produced for 1 year in all the, how do you say in English, reserve, the animals games reserve. And we have, 20 little VR images of all these games. It's beautiful. Anyway, meditation. And what I'm saying, meditation, my goal, with my associate, it's to give you, also all of you, who are not used for meditation, to say we should all need to meditate, okay? Because it's one of the key, to really reduce the stress. Of course, how you can do it? Because I try, with some friends to say, you are stressed. Do you want to meditate? Oh, no, meditation. It's, oh, my God, Buddhism, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just saying, I was in Sainte-Anne, and in Sainte-Anne there is a psychiatrist, very famous, called, Christophe André. And 20 years ago, he was totally considered as a clown. Or, okay, you're very nice, Today, it has been proven scientifically that it works. I'm not going, because I think I have just 5 minutes, I'm not going, to say why, but I can tell you it's proven that 5 minutes each day really reduce. But what... Tu peux passer tes slides. C'est comment ça? Ah, les slides. Non? Ah, voilà. Sorry. Encore? Ah, ouais. Okay, sorry for the... I know, but you know. No, maybe you're a specialist, so you don't need that. Okay, so that's... No, and of course, no, just to come back for the meditation, it's what we want to do in hospital, and we work a lot of in old medical houses, for old people, places which are very terrible, to be honest. And we practice with them, the meditation. And it's a 10 minutes, we can use also, in my headset, it's a 10 minutes practice. And you have to do it for 21 days. Because why 21 days? Because in 21 days, we know that your brain can switch, your addiction or your stress. But after your 21 days, it's not enough. You know that you have moved, your brain, but you need to do it every day, 5 minutes. And if any of you say, I have no 5 minutes, you're a liar, okay? So what I'm trying to convince that, of course, we're very, based, in oncology. And as I said, to be recognized as, true and not, a clown, that we did, a study in Hôpital Pompidou, which is one of the biggest hospitals in Europe. And it was in oncology, digestive surgery. Why? Because it's very painful, and they came back, and they have to stay 14 days in the room. So in 14 days, you have time, to focus, to study, the effect, of the VR. So they had, 30 patients. And on the 130 patients, they have 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. Okay, the scientist publication will be in 2026, beginning of next year. But what we have proven that, and it's easy because they have a morphine pump, so they have to push. So you can really study, about the pain, and we reduce for the 130 patients 30% less morphine, which is very interesting. And now we want also to do the scientist, study on the health, mental health, which is more complicated. Okay, so I have to push, I think. Okay, I'm sorry because it's in French, but I just want to show you that because I'm saying, I stop.
magnifique. C'est à voir, vraiment, c'est à voir. C'est un spectacle à découvrir. Pour moi, je découvre. C'est magnifique. Et plaisir, peut-être d'y retourner un jour.
J'admire les filles qui dansent comme ça à la pointe des pieds, là. Magnifique.
C'est un spectacle à voir, même que j'ai aucune connaissance. Je vous le dis, je suis de la campagne.
Le principal inconvénient de l'EHPAD, c'est la coupure avec la vie sociale.
Voilà, pareil, la première fois qu'il avait été à l'opéra, à Paris en plus, alors je comprenais pas trop. Disons la journée, j'ai calculé un peu, c'est pas possible de faire l'aller-retour à l'opéra de Paris. On parlait d'un casque, des images qui passaient dans le casque.
Sorry, because in French. But anyway, so we did, you know, we turned in 360 at the opera, and we have been financed, you know, to put all these extracts in 80 EHPAD, you know, medical, all the residents, and for 1 year, and it was really incredible. Alors, as I said, meditation, culture, nature. It's all where we are already, because we are already in 150 health institution. Thank you.
One question.
After.
Okay. It does work.
Yeah.
Does it? Okay. Is this a registered medical product by now?
Yes, DM1.
Class 1?
Yeah, class 1.
So it's not registered, so you didn't really have to go through all the MDR procedures and everything?
Or maybe not.
Okay.
Thanks. We have more time for questions afterwards. Okay, so I'll be taking over from here. As Sonia said, today we should be accompanied by Karine Depoteur, who bring me and Vincent on this stage today, thanks to her. She wanted to go through what is the reality of a hospital, as she's a nurse, and she's really in the field. She knows what it is to care for patients. And she kind of oversee the benefit of VR on the patient side, as Vincent presented, although some professionals can also get some meditations activities. And on my side, I'm more focusing on training, education, simulation. But before I start, I want you all to cheer up and to make some noise for Karine, so that, because she's in hospital bed at the moment, so the shoemaker is not always the luckiest. So please, big applause for Karine, who couldn't today, and I'm sure this will cheer up. This is for you, Karine. Get well soon. So, as I said, the work and pursuing is really to put in the hands of medical professionals the power of VR and to use it for simulation trainings. So my name is Stéphane. I have a background in psychology. I studied cognitive science and experimental psychology. So my background is more of a researcher, and how I fell into VR is I was interested into space perception and body cognition, and how we don't perceive the world just with our senses, but that there is an integration between perception and action, between multisensory input and action and body representation. But that was before, since when I had a parkour mutating from researcher to entrepreneur with a spin-off that became a spin-off company called VR SPARX. And our aim is really to create, develop, deploy immersive solution for the trainings of medical staff, paramedical staff, starting from a trauma center team where we reproduced a shock room of 2 different hospitals in Belgium, and where we are now working on a multi-user version so that we can bring 2 nurses, 3 physicians, and 1 version, and they make the taking care together. Another solution that I presented last year and some years before was training for paramedics, where they had to go into mass casualties environments and do triage on the patient. But today I'm going to focus on a younger product that is being developed in co-creation with the Citadel Hospital in Liège, and it's called the Errors. And the goal of this tool is really to put VR at the service of training, but also quality service. Quality service that are specialized in prevention of big problems, of undesirable events. For example, there's needles in the food plate, and the food plate goes back to the kitchen, and the people in the kitchen could get hurt, get a needle, and get a disease if the needle is infected. And so this is really what we focus on, it's prevention and ensuring patient safety and quality standards. And we have the chance of different environments, different clinical case, from geriatrics to surgery and internal medicine. I'll show you how it looks like in a few seconds. So you enter the virtual room. Sorry for the shaky image. I'm a small Parkinson issue. But I recorded that quite quickly to show you the last version. And so this is an easy mistake. Pas bien. And so as you can see, there's several objects that are pointable in the room. Nurse has between 10, 15, 20 minutes. And it's a bit of a hazard spotting. You see it in other industry, like here, the oxygen is not on the oxygen, it's just getting air. But this is a patient which has a pulmonary disease, and so this scenario, so you have generic error and specific errors depending on the patient. So here, for example, you see that here sometimes it's connected to oxygen, or you blowing too much oxygen or not enough oxygen, and so this is what we address in this scenario. We have another scenario. Here is surgery, so the patient has lung lobectomy, so part of his lungs were removed. And here the focus point is on the chest drainage device that sometimes suck too much, so it's supposed to get from the pleural cavity so that you evacuate bad stuff for the patients. And sometimes the suction power is not well regulated. Sometimes this little chamber is not filled. Sometimes the liquid evacuated is not well registered on the patient file. So we created a virtual tablet so the learner can go in the patient file and see different sections. And so there is a lot of mistakes which are they put in correspondence what's in the patient file, what's to be administered in the medication, and see whether it's correct or not, whether there is too much drugs in his IV line. And last patient here I'm going to introduce today is Simon Lucien, who's an elderly patient. And here a big focus is on the alternating mattress. So as you see here, it's a special device. So what is an alternating mattress? Most of you don't know. Is there anyone who knows what's the purpose of an alternating mattress for patients in geriatrics? Excellent, thank you. So indeed, old people, they have a very thin skin. They also sometimes have nutrition problems, and they have very big problem to move. But in these conditions, if they're lying down for like 12 hours, they will get a pressure ulcer, which is a specific wound that appears if the patient is not moving. And so those mattresses are filled with air, and the air is making motion on the mattress, so to prevent those pressure ulcer to occur. And as I say, in 10 hours only, you can have those wounds appearing. And the really bad thing that can happen is the thing is not well plugged, there's no battery, or the cord is not linked to the mattress. And some patients spend the night on a hard bed because the mattress de-inflated. And so it's a really big concern for patients and for the whole hospital management. And earlier, so this is one of the many examples, and it's too bad Karine wasn't there today because she said it's more the room of horrors than the room of errors, because sometimes you find things that should not exist. So I made a small joke with the pack of cigarettes, But for example, 4 weeks ago, there was a patient in a hospital in Belgium, I won't say the name, who was burned alive because she could find a cigarette and a lighter, but she was attached to the bed because she was in such a condition that she is disoriented, and so there was a restraint. And we don't know how she found a cigarette, we don't know how she found a lighter, but in the end, she was burnt the 3rd degree, and they lost her on the following days. So these kind of things are quite important for hospitals, and we really want to use the power to help healthcare professionals in their training, and both in basic training, but also continuous training. Because the professionals every year, be facing continuous training to make sure that they know the procedures, that they know the risk that can happen. And we have several scenarios in the development. So I'm making a big up to Lauriane Panel, who's our developer in the team. And she does the whole level design and error setup. So thank you for all that, Lauriane. And thank you all for your kind attention. I'll be very glad with Vincent to answer your question. Thank you.
Yes?
Hello, my name is Isabella. Oh, this doesn't work. Yes, perfect. Okay, my name is Isabella. I'm from Equilibrium, a Vancouver-based company that does training, especially in the healthcare space. And so I'm especially curious where you were able to first get the okay from hospitals and clinicians, because they are very academic and evidence-based, and they only want to try it if it already exists. And so I'm very curious, like, where are you able to get that buy-in from?
Both of us, I suppose.
Yes, please.
Alors, yes, it works. But like I said, you know, it's funny in France because most of the time, if you don't know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, you never get in. So just to give you an idea about, you know, this study in Pompidou, is just because one of my best friends has a son who is in the same class than the son of the head, you know, of the service. No, really, and I'm just, you know, and when I said that, it's not, I'm not complaining. It's just a matter of fact. Don't understand the matter of fact, you will not work. But so that's why I said, apparently the perspective said that in year 230, 30% of the medicaments will be digital, 30%, which means all the big lab should work, you know, and study, you know, about, you know, because what we said is kind of digicament, you know, if you reduce, you know, pain and stress. So I take, you know, the list of all the lab in France, 50 lab, okay, and I think I could be, you know, perseverant, okay, and try, you know, to get, you know, the meeting. So by the end of the 50, I get, you know, 3 meetings. One was a mistake, okay. One didn't do anything, and the third one was Servier, which is a big lab, and I've been able to go in an hospital with Servier, we study, blah blah. Why? Because the head, you know, of the formation was a good friend. So I'm not saying it's, but as I said, you know, in these Latin, you know, countries like Italy, Portugal, France, Spain, it's kind of connection. You need connection. I will not say mob, but it's connection.
You need a mole. So I'll just complete for our side. We were lucky that one of my co-founders is a physician, 66, not really ready to retire, and he's a very good like medical referent for all our development. So we have a kind of the medical approved by a physician of 45 years experience, 40. And so in the first hospital where we started, it was more R&D, but then after we could go to other hospitals. First question they ask is there another hospital using your thing? Yes, there is one there. Look at the feedback we got. They are super happy. So this is a fast forward to go. But it's true that hospitals are like a fortress, and either you enter by the medical side, the training side, the quality side, the innovation and digital transition side. What is good sometimes is to try to have a multiple entrance strategy where you get some contact and then at some point you get a big meeting. But usually you have 3-4 meetings before you get the bon de commande, the order, which is kind of the thing you look for. But I'll be glad to exchange on the topics with you.
But to be positive, I've been able, to get in hospital and center without any connection.